Wait, is that Regina Weasley in the thumbnail? Okay, okay, sign me up. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. If people are following along, I didn't do one for the fourth episode. Some of that is because Super Bowl had people over. It came out on a Friday. And then so many other things came out during the week. Plus, I'm being perfectly honest, if you look at the channel right now, those are the videos that are doing the least amount of traffic. For whatever reason, it's sort of getting swallowed by all the Last of Us reviews. But so I didn't have a rush to go do that. But I did see the fourth episode. I did enjoy it. I'll touch on it a little bit, but I am not stopping this. I do enjoy this series enough that I don't care about the views so much. So I'm still going to talk about it. Just we didn't do four. There are a couple of things that I want to speak on from the last episode, namely the Henry and Sam of it all. Super sad episode. I'm a gamer, so I already kind of knew that was coming. I knew that was approaching, and it's handled beautifully. I think the one thing that is important is just the impact of seeing death, especially a brother have to kill a brother, is having an effect on both Joel and Ellie. So that's just one big thing to take away from that. Also, I think they're doing a very good job of laying out these breadcrumbs that sort of are going to impact the series as we go along from this season even to the next. And I think with Kathleen, I'm not a big fan. I was not a big fan of Kathleen. Some of it was portrayal. I didn't believe her. I felt like Perry was a better leader of that team. But something that she did say that was important, the whole this is what happens when you F with fate line. And it just shows how revenge has sort of taken onus of her life and how you take something away from what is fate, there's going to be a yin to every yang. That's just something to remember and hold on to for as your Last of Us fan. If you've made it through both games, you kind of see where all of that leads. It's important to sort of drop that breadcrumb to show you how the world revolves on this axis. For every one thing that happens, and an equal and opposite reaction has to sort of take place. Kin. We start off with a super old couple in an island in a cabin long far away. Marlon and Florence, and they have been held sort of hostage or at gunpoint by Joel and Ellie. More so just to sort of get a bearings on their map. They're kind of lost and they need to know what's on the other side of this river. It's a fun, cute little couple. Florence is hilarious. She's like, yeah, I made them dinner and I made them soup and it didn't hurt me. They seem all right. There's a kid upstairs. You know, we're in good company. But what they learn here and what's important for the world is that there's another couple somewhere that also found happiness in what they do. They have been here long before. They just don't like people. I kind of get it, but they just don't like people. And they said they've been here before Joel was even born. So, and Florence is like, yeah, I don't want to do it. But it's worked to their benefit, and they've now sort of created this commune alone. But Joel asks them where they are in reference to the map, and they show them, and they're like, well, if I was to want to go west, what's the best way to do that? And Marlon's like, go east. That's the best way to handle this. Don't go west. It is going to be ugly once you go west. Joel and them sort of ignore that message. Florence and them kind of do what they can to put a little bit of fear of God in them, like yeah, clickers, bloaters, Firefly, refugees, anything that's on the other side of that river, it's bedlam on the other side of that. And if somebody goes that, you're not going to see somebody come back from them. And Ellie's talking so much for bravado, like, oh, you don't scare us. But Joel looks like the fear of God has just entered him. It's like, nope, he's scared. But they take off, and we don't see that cute little couple again. I kind of want to. I don't want another episode just about them, but it'd be cool to sort of go back and spin them because they were just adorable. What this episode does, again, lay some breadcrumbs for the future, but also sort of does more to establish the Joel and Ellie relationship. You take some of the moments of they've been around each other enough now that there is sort of a care system that happens. They may not be fully aware of why they care or even want to admit that they care about each other, but there is a care that has sort of occurred between the two of them. They just start learning more about each other. Joel's like, hey, I have the ultimate thing and I can kind of do this on my own. I want to do some sheep. And Ellie sort of rags him about it. They're ragging each other about it. Sort of the relationship that he had with Sarah. He's starting to kind of get that with Ellie. And we learn that as we go along, that sort of starts to freak him out a bit. an important piece for some stuff, foreshadowing and sort of seeing. We get Ellie's love for space and astronauts. She loves astronauts, all Buzz Aldrin, all of them. She just that's just one thing that she studied that just took her by sort of storm. She loved that. But she also lets Joel know at that point in time that she did try to take some of her blood, and she was aware of what happened to Sam. And she did try to take some of her blood and put it into his bloodstream to see if that was the way to sort of fix this. And because she's now kind of concerned as if this cure is going to work. And Joel reassures her that, hey, that might not be what it does. Marlene's a lot of things. She does a lot of bad things, but one thing she knows what's going on. She knows what's up. So I think this will work, just not in the simplistic way that you sort of attempted to try to fix it. On their journey, a cool little thing that happens is when they fall asleep or supposed to take watch. Joel says, "I'll keep watch for both morning and night shifts." And by this point, Ellie had already stated, like, "Hey, I'll watch one shift, you can watch the other." And Joel immediately is like, "Nope, I'll take both." He does subsequently fall asleep and wakes up without his gun by him and kind of freaks out for a moment, and then sees that Ellie has taken a shift. And he is kind of adamant, like, "You should have waken me up. You should have waken me up. Wake me up next time." And she goes through the roles of what I checked my six, saw no footprints, looked at the scene. She did everything correctly. So everything that she sort of watched and Joel has told her about it, she's done it. And so Joel still says, "Hey, should have woken me up," but he gives her that nod and kind of a reassurance that yes, she did the correct thing, but he still should be the one that is watching out for her and not her for him. So that sort of already happened in this scenario. He's only alive because Ellie shot that one kid when he couldn't have done it. When he missed the mark, when he was too slow or too old or couldn't hear this person coming in to approach him. They head back out and they're met by a group on horseback. They're all mask covered and they meet them. And this is sort of an intense moment for Joel. They have them all dead to rights. They have them at gunpoint, they told them to put the gun down. And they have this infection sniffing dog, if you will. He can smell if a person is infected. Joel will be fine. Joel knows in this moment, I'm A-okay, nothing I can have. But he doesn't know if there's going to be a scent that Ellie gives off. Because he knows that she has been infected, but he isn't aware of what the response or what the smell of what her blood actually smells like to the dog. So he's freaking out. But there's nothing he can really say in this moment. They got the one up on him, they got him dead to rights. So he kind of just has to let it happen. He's just frozen with fear and terror in that moment because he feels he's failed once again. Luckily, he hears laughter behind him and he sees that Ellie and the dog are having a good time and playing around with each other. And that fear washes over him. He kind of feels calm again. It has been at that moment that Maria, who we come learn to be Maria Tina Weasley, comes up and asks, like, "What's your name?" He's like, because he mentions, "I'm here to see my brother." And "What is your name?" "Joel." And at that point, they take him back to their new commune, which is called Jackson. Couple of things. One, Maria in the game is Caucasian, so this is a sort of a race swap. Also, Jackson looks stunning. It's gorgeous. It looks exactly how it does in the game. A lot of breadcrumbs for my Last of Us 2 fans. A lot of breadcrumbs are placed in here. We see characters that will mean a lot to Ellie in the future. Here we see placement of stables. We get a lot of the lay of the land of what this world looks like for the future and what it all sort of can mean when it's all said and done. Well done, whoever did a 1-to-1. Druckmann, you're killing it. They get into the place and it's walled off. It's behind a well. It's very protected. Joel sees Tommy and they have a reunion and hug and everything. And then they have a heart to heart. It's Maria, Tommy, Joel, and Ellie. And Joel and Ellie are getting a meal that they have not had in quite some time. Joel's been like quite some time since I've had a meal like that. And Ellie's like, "I ain't never had no effing meal like this. Yeah, this is the real deal. I appreciate you." But she's also being Ellie. She's a little flippant, a little aggressive. And Maria kind of calls it out. It's like, well, there's a girl who's sort of looking at Ellie and kind of watching her, and like they've never seen a kid who responds and acts the way that Ellie does, and so that's sort of new to them. Joel asks for, "Hey, can I have a moment of privacy?" So for a family matter, and that's at that point in time that Tommy sort of grabs Maria's hand and says that, well, she is family. That this is a family matter. And Ellie's quick to be like, "Oh, cool, that's great, congrats." Joel, not so quick on the uptake. They do split. Maria takes Ellie to get freshened up, to get a shower, get just better off, and then Joel and Tommy go to the bar, have a drink to kind of discuss things. Joel is still trying to fill out where Tommy is right now. He knows that Tommy likes to move around and kind of is not always on the up and up, but it feels that like a lot of what this life has been for Tommy is that he follows Joel, whatever Joel says. Joel's my older brother. I'm going to follow behind him. But he's still laying out the land. Tommy asks Joel how's Tess, and at that point he's like, "Tess is good. She's good. She's fine." And says that the kid is a kid of a Firefly person. They were trying to head to Colorado to get their child back to them. And Tommy's like, "Well, that doesn't just out of a good Samaritan." And Joel's like, "Nope, I'm getting something out of it." Tommy sort of understands that when he makes it seem that way. But Joel is under the impression that, hey, cool, we're here together. You know what's on the other side of that. Let's go do this together. I need you. Let's go ahead and make this run. You and I can go out there and get this kid over there, and we'll be back in 2 shakes. And Tommy's like, I can't go out with you. Joe's like, "But what the hell's going on?" And Tommy sort of lets him know that I'm no longer about that. I no longer do that. This place is a good place. Part of what I have given them, or what I give to them, they found me when I was at my lowest, when I seemed like I was out. They found me, and part of my 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 reward to them, or my giving back to them, is to not go out and cause any chaos to come back to them. Also, Maria's pregnant, and Joel, again, not quick on the uptick with the congratulations. He's like, "I suppose," something to the effect like, "I suppose you'll be a good dad." And it feels really flippant and aggressive. Part of that is coming out of pain, out of him not doing what he felt he should be doing for Sarah. Um, and Tommy sort of says some wild shit to Joel about it. Um, he said, "Just because life stopped for you doesn't mean it stops for everybody else. Stopped for me specifically." And at that point, Joel's kind of like, "Bet. I'm going to grab some supplies and we're going to be out of here by tomorrow." On the flip side of that, Ellie is hanging out with Maria. She's got in her shower, and there's a note that says, "Come see, I'm across the street. Come see me." She's also given some supplies about how to a device that will allow her to pee without having to like pull everything down and crouch. Something that will be useful on this road. Um, it is very much Maria giving a womanly touch to Ellie, who she feels has been around Joel enough that maybe some of the things that Joel has done and who Joel is sort of rubbed off on her, because she knows what that has done, what Tommy has done. So it's like, I'm giving you sort of a feminine a touch, you will. Ellie, when she arrives to Maria's place, sees a placard that has Kevin and 2 dates, and then Sarah and 2 dates. And it's at that point, through getting some hair done, getting some clothes, getting some new stuff, they're having a conversation, and they kind of get a lay of the land. Maria's sussing Ellie out to see why she's hanging out with Joel or what their connection is. And Ellie's keeping a lot of things close to the vest. And Maria's like, "Do you know what type of man he is?" Like, "Hey, you mean murder people? Yeah, I got all that. So did your husband. You seem to be okay with that." And she's like, "Touche. Well done. You know your stuff." Um, but it is in that when Maria slips, because Ellie, being caring, was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. Like, you used to be your mother." Because she mentions, like, I was a district attorney. I got good at cutting hair. I used to do it for my kids. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for your kids." And she's like, "Nope, correction. Only one of those kids is mine. The others is Joel." And at that point, it clicks with Ellie. Like, oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. Now I start to understand who Joel is, and why he might be sometimes a little bit distant with me. Maria does sort of give a old advice, if you will. Be careful with who you trust, because people who you trust are the ones that can betray you. She then says, let's go see a movie because on this commune, they have like movies and everything that you can sort of think of in a small community is here. So they go to have movie night. While that's happening, Tommy goes to bring Joel a pair of new boots because he knew that his brother would be somewhere trying to like repair the boots that he has. He saw how bad they were. And in this, there's a pretty heartfelt heart to heart that he has with his brother because his brother is kind of like, oh, you're the toughest person I know. You'll get through this. Because Joel asks like, hey, how bad is it on the other side of this? If I'm trying to take her to Colorado, he's like, oh, it's bad, but nothing you can't handle. At that point, Joel's like, yeah, I'm not that guy anymore. Like I'm weak. I can't hear. I'm having heart situations. Like I'm terrified of fear. I just saw a brother have to murder his brother. The dog sniffing thing from earlier just made me terrified with fear. I wasn't even able to save my life. She had to do it. I am not the person built to take this girl from this scenario to Colorado. It's not me. You would be you're the younger me, you're the stronger me, you're the tougher me. You know these places more than me. You should be the one to do this. I'm not built for this. I can't fail anymore. I go to sleep and I wake up in terror because I failed. I fail. When he woke up and he didn't see the gun next to him, he was afraid of failing, like he'd done something wrong. And while we all know that he didn't do anything to fail his daughter, that is what eats at him. And so he is now afraid of doing that again with Ellie and is trying to sort of push her away so that he doesn't have to have that guilt feeling on himself if he doesn't succeed at getting her to where she needs to be and giving her a fulfilled life. So he tells Thomas, I think you need to take her. I think you're strong enough to do so. And after a bit of a hesitancy, Joel does tell Tommy the entire story. He tells him that Ellie's immune and she was bitten months ago and hasn't had any type of infection. You got to keep that to yourself because I feel like if anybody else in your commune is aware of that, they're going to try to kill her. She needs to keep that. Her need to keep that to your vest. And then he tells him the whole story about Tessa and what sort of led up to this point. And it's at that point in time he says, I'll take her. To the chagrin of not having, he did not have a conversation with Maria. That's not going to go well. And he is still a coming father. And even in this, I just want to say that Tommy did realize that Joel not saying congratulations for the pregnancy wasn't him not being happy for he was, but considering the life that Joel has had with his daughter, he understands there might be a little bit conflicting feelings about that. Tommy returns to the movies. He says he'll take the kiddo out. He'll take Ellie out. Returns to the movies. And Maria sort of gives him a look. He gives him a look and smile, but Maria can tell that in that moment, Joel has done something to get back in under the skin of Tommy. And she's like, I just lost my husband. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but something has happened. She had that look like this mother. Joel goes to see Ellie, and Ellie's reading a diary about like, oh, this is all that these girls used to care about back in the day. And Joel's trying to sort of spit it out. And it's at that point Ellie says, if you're gonna ditch me, ditch me. She overheard the entire conversation that he had with Tommy. And it's a pretty heartfelt moment that she's like, well, I don't understand what you're doing. She asked, do you give a shit about me? And he's like, of course I do. So there is the first time that I think both of them have really openly said how they care about each other, but it's built with pain and now with anger because he feels he's going to fail her and she feels like he's pushing her away. So they don't quite understand each other, but they do care. There's been enough that has occurred that there's a care that exists now. It is then when Ellie starts getting a little dirty and she's like, I'm not her. I know about your daughter. I know about Sarah. I'm not her, Joel. I am sorry you lost somebody, but I'm not her. And Joel's like, stop talking about her. Stop bringing up her name. And then he says, you'll be better off without me. And she's like, everyone I've lost, everybody I loved has either died or left me. Everyone except you. Don't tell me that I'll be better off without you. Because I wouldn't be. I'd just be more scared. And they leave it on a very contentious and troubling spot. It seems like she's going to go with Tommy, and that's the way that this is kind of going to wrap out. He's like, "You're right. You're not my daughter, and I'm not your father. In the morning, we'll go our separate ways." And then Joel does go to sleep again. He's not really getting sleep, but he's already had some spots in this town where he's thought he's seen his daughter. He has a dream about his daughter again. This connection that he used to have with that, some of that, which is what he's getting with Ellie again. And so the next morning happens. Tommy comes to get Ellie. Um, it's crazy because it's a beautiful shot, so quiet and not seen. But she's standing there in her bedroom, and the door opens. She's hoping it's Joel, and it's not. It's Tommy. You can see the kind of deflation that happens in her. She's like, well, I was hoping that there was still a chance that he would be the one to come get me. But she follows. It's like, this is where Joel wants me to go. I'm going to go with him, even though I don't know him as well. This is where Joel has sort of led me to be. And they head out. It's like, we're going to go to the stables. They're not really talking to each other. They head to the stables. And I see Joel there. And Joel's like, yo, I've been here for 30 minutes. I was going to steal a horse. And Tommy's like, I just would have just given you a horse. Like, yeah, no, I got that. I can't leave. And he kind of just like, hey, look, I've decided that you deserve a choice. Tommy's the better one. She's like, yeah, shut up. I'm coming with you. And she's given her the choice she wanted was Joel. That's who she's always wanted. She's like, nope, you are the person that I want to be with. That is who I'm going to decide to take this trip with. Even if he might be the better shooter, younger, whatever, you are who I'm going with. And so that is her decision. Tommy just lets him know, like, hey, if you guys ever need a place, this place is open to you. My folks who are already ahead of this, you know what's happening, and they head off. Tommy closes the place up, and they head off down to Colorado. And in that, we get a little bit more connection. They start, now that their feelings are sort of out there in the open with each other, but now they have care. A lot of the jokes they have are a little bit more father daughter. Like, hey, talking about sing. Maybe I don't want sheep. Maybe I want to be singing. He's like, oh wait, you want to sing? She kind of laughs at him at first. She's like, well, wait, I'm not going to sing for you now if you're laughing at me. It's like, look, if I'm going to save the whole world, you're going to have the least you can do for sing for me. So there's just a little bit more familial camaraderie that happens between them. And it feels like they've gotten the weight of telling each other about their feelings off their chest. And now they're kind of just in it and like going on this ride to see if they can get this cure for everybody. They make it to Colorado. It's a collegiate university that they're going to. Looking around, looks just like right out the games. If you're any of my gamers, there are these wild monkeys that are just running around all over the city. Now, imagine in the game, there's a lot more infected. There's clickers. You're going through. There's an action beat element to it. All of that sort of removed to kind of tell the story and get to the dramatic parts of this. They see a firefly symbol, and that firefly symbol sort of shows them that, hey, this is where we're going to go. There see firefly guard towers, but there's nobody there, and so seems to be vacant or empty, or something has caused them to move. They hear some sounds in the building, so they go to investigate. Just more monkeys up there. They see a map that kind of has all the pins sort of circulating and triangulating against Utah, and that's sort of saying like, okay, maybe for the weather, maybe they have better facilities. It seems like they have all headed to Utah. Maybe that's where we should go. Then they hear people downstairs, and they're like, oh crap, they got to get back out to their horse. So they go to the exit where their horse is at, and as they're heading to their horse, they get ambushed. Ellie calls it out, but just so Joel turns around, grabs him, and it just kind of got this guy in a stranglehold. And he gets into Joel mode, and he snaps that man's neck. We then see that Ellie points to Joel, and Joel has had the bat turn into a shiv and stab into his chest. He's bleeding, just bleeding out. Those other three, there were 4 men they saw in the window, so now there's 3 left. Those other 3 start chasing towards them. Ellie's like, you got to get on the horse, Joel. You got to get on the horse. He gets on the horse. She gets on too, and they take off, and she just starts firing to give a cover fire so they can get out of there. They make it a way that it doesn't seem like these folks are chasing them anymore. And then Ellie calls that out, and then all of a sudden Joel sort of passes out, falls off the horse and passes out. It seems like once Ellie gives it clear that we're no longer being chased, Joel kind of can give out. His body can give out. I'm like, cool, I don't have to keep her safe anymore. He lets go, and he falls to the ground, and does not seem to be responsive. All blood is sort of coming out. At this moment, Ellie has tears in her eyes, like, I can't do this without you. Like, she just keeps calling Joel, like, I am scared. I cannot do this without you. I don't even know what the hell I'm going. Please wake up. And then we go to black. That is a powerful episode. A lot quieter and a lot less action oriented than the first, which is perfectly fine. This episode was solely built to kind of, all right, are they father and daughter relationship or aren't they? This builds that, creates that for them, and then sort of puts it in jeopardy when Ellie now finally is kind of given the keys to be on her own. She's made the choice to be with Joel, and that choice has led to him being in sort of danger. And she may end up being on her own, and that's a frightening sort of feeling to have. The person that she is now sort of given the keys to both her journey, her heart, and kind of the surrogate father, if you will, now seems to be in peril. And it's a pretty perfect way to kind of continue on with this story. Really solid episode. Look, I love this show. Even with me knowing the beats, it is great to one, see some of the recreations, but also kind of cool to see when they take the action beats out, when they place them in versus the drama and the dramatic pieces for dramatic effect. It's also cool to see some of the breadcrumbs that they're laying for the future. All in all, really fun episode. To do a lot of the legwork to build their relationship. I think from this point on, we kind of now established that they are surrogate father and surrogate daughter, and now we're going to put them through the paces. When this show punches in the gut, gets to that heartstring, man, it does it. I love watching this show because I know what's happening. My wife is watching with me, who did not watch me play the game. She's like, "You didn't tell me this. You didn't know this." I'm like, "Nope, not really any of this for you. I'm just going to let you experience and let this wash over you." And while it's doing that, it's also washing over me again because I'm now remembering and kind of reliving all of this again. And it is get a masterclass in storytelling. What did you guys think about the 5th episode of The Last of Us called Kin? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.